It's very important to understand the stacking order and how layers and objects are stacked within layers in Illustrator. And here I have my image of my superhero, which I've called Illustrator. That's her name, Illustrator. And in here we have lots and lots of layers. So what I want you to do is go to the Essentials workspace. If it doesn't look like mine, just say Reset Essentials, and it should be exactly like mine. And then click on the Layers button. That opens up the Layers panel. Now, it's still docked to this main panel. I quite like to drag it out here and have it alongside my artwork. Call me old-fashioned, but that's the way I like to work. And I'm going to close the artboards and just have a look at the layers in here. Now, just like most applications, the layers are stacked from top to bottom, and you'll see that as I switch them on and off, it reveals the layers behind of the artwork that I've put together, and there's even a nighttime layer there, and you'll see that I can stack them back on top of each other. So if you're used to something like Photoshop, you'll be used to having layers behave in that way. But Illustrator is a slightly different beast to Photoshop. And within each layer, you also have objects. And if we have a look at these, you'll see that there are multiple objects and groups within each of these layers. So for example, if I just switch off these layers up here by clicking on their eyeballs and have a look at the nighttime layer, inside there we have two paths. We have one for the moon and one for the sky, and I can select them individually within the layer. So as well as being able to select the layer itself by clicking on the target button here, you can select individual components from the layer in here. Now, within a layer, you can also change the order in which those elements appear. So if I put the sky on top of the moon, I can no longer see the moon. So you have a stacking order within each layer, and then you have the stacking order of the layers themselves. So you can see that the sunset is above the nighttime shot. So let's switch on this group here. And we can see that our silhouette consists of several different objects as well. Now in this one, we have a clipping group, which is actually trimming the layers. So we can have a look at clipping groups a bit later, but it's just trimming those layers for me, clipping the edges of the layers. So that exists inside a clip group. So clip groups are groups that contain other elements. And within these groups are other groups. And you'll notice that this city scene is made up of lots of different shapes. So I've created this using standard geometric shapes and then combining them together using a combination of Pathfinder and Shape Builder. So quite often elements within Illustrator are created by using and combining different elements. So this layer system of objects within layers allows you to keep the art editable and be able to go in and make changes. Then we have a road layer, which is just fairly basic. And then we have things like the building. Now this was created using the perspective grid tool. So it's fairly complicated. We also used the pattern tool to create the bricks. And I can do things like go in and individually switch on and off bricks within the brick wall. And you'll see there I'm starting to reveal an edge there on the brick wall. And of course the stacking order of these is very important. So if I was to go in here, for example, into this buildings layer and open it up and open up the clip group in there and start messing around with that, I could then go and drag this group of roofs behind the walls, and then I get a really odd thing happening where the wall jumps in front of the roof. So you can see how important stacking order is. It's quite easy to fix things though. If they're in the wrong place, you can go in and make changes to all the individual elements. But it can be a bit mind-blowing, all of these different elements within a single layer. And here's my superhero, and she has all sorts of different elements within her. You'll see there are literally hundreds of groups and layers within her. For example, there's her eyeballs. You can see I'm switching off her eyes. Her hair. And there are other elements of her hair here. Oops, that was her body. So we don't want to get rid of that. So different elements are grouped in different ways depending on what my workflow is. And if we just scroll up to the top again, we've got another couple of elements which are my Badaboom text. And I've also got the original font in there as well. If you don't have the Badaboom font installed, you won't be able to see that, but I have a font in there as well.